All right, welcome back. It seems like I was just here. Hey, in fact, I was just here just a few minutes ago. If you missed that session, the reason that I'm coming back to you now 15, 20 minutes later is that the EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting is coming up November 1st through 3rd in Austin, Texas. And today I wanted to give you a chance to meet some of our partners that are helping to make this event a reality. If you haven't heard about it before, what I'm talking about is the EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting, and it is the business conference for entrepreneur architects. In fact, it's the first ever live conference dedicated just to you, to the small firm entrepreneur architect. I started this live stream series back in August, um, basically to introduce to you our speakers, all of the people that are going to be presenting at the conference and preview their talks. And now, as I said, I'm bringing our partners into the mix, which is really fun. We get to spread this out a little bit more even. So good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are, what time zone you're in right now. My name is Jeff Eccles. I'm the Vice President of Community Development at EntreArchitect. We're the largest worldwide community of entrepreneur architects. I'm also the host of Context and Clarity Live. And today I am joined by Nick Cornea. He is an architect. He's a friend. He's the founder of Drawn, and he's based in Nashville, Tennessee. So, Nick, first, thank you for partnering with EntreArchitect on the upcoming conference, and thank you for joining me today.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you.
It's great to have you here. Um, as I said, Nick's a friend. We've been in a mastermind group. We've known each other for a long time. We've been in a mastermind group together
Yeah.
for years. So it's fun to have these conversations. Um, and I might take some of this for granted because of our familiarity with each other. So in order to make sure that I don't do that and ruin it for the folks in the community, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do it?
Got it. Well, I'm Nick Corniea. I've started Drawn and decided to partner with the EntreArchitect for the annual conference, just to start to give back. I mean, like Jeff said, like I've been in Jeff's mastermind group for 6 years, um, and now I've started facilitating my own group, so it's been difficult to show up. But
Yeah.
um, I knew 6 or 7 years ago, as soon as I started listening to EntreArchitect podcast, that I was going to want to start my own company in some fashion. And it's not been the smoothest road, but here I am. So I've started, how I got started was basically assisting other architects with projects that they needed. So other architects, other developers. So I've done like medium scale projects where some architecture firm was just too swamped to handle it, and they needed the help. So I kind of took on the role of their production manager, their project manager, not necessarily as a project architect role, but got the drawings completed for them. So that meant engaging with engineers and talking to suppliers. It meant getting the drawings done. It meant reviewing the drawings with them and getting a quality product back out to them. So then I started my own architecture firm 4 years ago, and have kind of continued to do some of that. And so now it's turned into a team of 5 people that are helping me do that, still today. So that's kind of the start, at least, going back 6 years.
Well, it's funny how time flies. We did
Right.
6. I hadn't even really done the counted on my fingers to figure out the 6 years. And as you said, I mean, you've gone through, which is a beautiful thing. You've gone through this evolution of starting your own firm and doing your work, and now, you sort of, in a way, graduated out of our mastermind group. Although you're still part of that family. You're
Yeah.
facilitating another group, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
You have to start up mastermind group. So other startup
Yeah.
architects.
Yeah, and I think that's great. So for the let me back up because I'm in this mindset, right? Everybody knows what we're talking about, but they don't necessarily.
Mhm.
Um, Nick talked about listening to the EntreArchitect podcast, which is hosted and has been hosted for almost 10 years now by Mark R. LePage, the founder of EntreArchitect. Started out as a blog, then
Yeah.
became a Facebook group and a podcast and a membership and now beyond. And of course, here in just 2 weeks, we'll be in Austin, Texas for the EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of the people who we talk to say, "Hey, I listened to the EntreArchitect podcast, and Mark was hosting that, and who knows who he was interviewing? Right? He's interviewed, I don't even know. And on Context and Clarity Live, we've been going 2.5 years every week for 2.5 years, and we're at about 85 guests. Well, Mark must be at 385 guests or something like that by now.
Yeah. He's at least on
But
episode like 450, if not higher. I just
there you go. So he's edging up to 500 episodes at this
Mhm.
point, which means that an awful lot of people like Nick and myself and you out there in the audience right now that have heard Mark talk about or interview somebody about uh, getting started, starting their own firm, growing a firm, all different types of topics. And I think your origin story, Nick, where you're talking about, hey, I started out
Yeah.
by helping other architects and other engineers. That is a super common origin story, but what you've done with it is the uncommon part of it, in my opinion.
Okay.
You've turned that you've built the systems, and I know you're still working on all of these things, and it still evolves. I get all of that, but you're systematizing that piece of it,
Yeah.
right? So that you can continue to grow that. And, you're demonstrating that in your own work. So I'm curious to hear with the launch, I think upcoming of Drawn, what's the next chapter in this? What's it look like to take it from, hey, I was doing this when I first started,
Yeah.
then I started my own firm, now my firm is growing, and now here's this next chapter. What is this next chapter that we're talking about?
Oh gosh. Just getting more established and more formalized, I guess.
Yeah.
Just continuing to grow it. So part of it, and a part of the reason. So again, the origin story, right? It basically is starting out with moonlighting.
Mm-hmm.
A common parlance for that. Some of the issues that I was having when I was in another firm was like the training aspect. There just wasn't that kind of training that was getting put back on on us as interns. The training needs to be more than just like redlining. There needs to be some actual intention kind of put behind it. So what that's caused me to do is to do a lot of independent research and development of systems, but then also seeking out additional mentors. You and I have talked about marketing a number of times before. I'm not a marketer. You don't even go look at Instagram or whatever. I mean, my wife does that better than I do. But, I've sought out mentors like that and just other experts in that field. So now I'm starting to put all of it together. So in terms of like construction documents and modeling for other architects, I am training a staff and I'm putting together training protocols and then systems for my team to be able to execute documents and models effectively. Not just even trying to do it efficiently or quickly or whatever other kind of word that you want to put in, but getting the right thing down at the right time. So understanding like how the information of an architecture project gets managed throughout its process. from code information. So, I mean, I can remember one of the first commercial projects in the first architecture firm that I was working on. I'm told to go do a code study. And my next question is, okay, how do I do a code study? Because I'd never done a code study before. Like, I'd read the code book, but it's not, it's not step one, step two.
Right.
So I think that week I ended up researching and purchasing Ron Guerin's book, How to Apply the Building Code. So Ron Guerin takes you through how to apply a building code to a construction project or a design project. So I've implemented those steps into my system. So there's checklists that my team has and steps that we go through, and it starts pretty basic. It's like confirm the applicable building code for the authority having jurisdiction. Something that's simple and something that's like almost overlooked, I think, but it's an important piece to the puzzle of a design project, of a construction project. So we're just making sure that there's a checkbox that somebody's looking this up and seeing if there's any updates. Even if we've been doing, like, I'm in Nashville and we just upgraded codes to 2018, I think, last year. So, just reviewing that process, we would be able to update those in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
And then just having templates put together for specifications or specific places on drawings to put this kind of information. Because it's all a part of the puzzle of a design project.
Yeah. Well, I think, how long ago was it? A year ago, maybe, something like that. On Context and Clarity Live, we interviewed Michael Gerber, the author of the E-Myth and the E-Myth Architect and, the franchise, right? So, and for those of you that are watching either live now or on the replay in the future, and by the way, if you're over in a Facebook group right now and you're commenting away and your comments aren't showing up on the screen, it's because of privacy policy. Facebook won't let those out unless you give permission for your comments to escape. So in the lower left of the screen right now is a URL. You can open up another browser window and type this in. It says chat.restream.io/FB, like Facebook. So chat.restream.io/FB. You go to that URL, and then a couple of clicks later, you give permissions, and you'll start showing up here on the screen with Nick and I. But we talked with Michael Gerber, and the meta version of it is that he has taken this idea of systematizing everything. So you could create a franchise if you wanted, but you could create a franchise. He's actually applied that to his books, right? So he's the whole meta version of it is he wrote the book, he applied the book, and now there's this franchise of books out there. And, he talks about McDonald's a lot because it's sort of the greatest franchise story, or at least in the earliest days of franchising in the United States. But he's not talking about being the McDonald's of architects. He's talking about exactly what you're saying. And I know you're familiar with Michael and E-Myth, but all these things that you're saying about a checklist for that and a template for that, that's what it takes to, and I like the way that you said to run effectively, right? Because that's where it has to start, right? Who cares if you're efficiently doing it wrong? So it's, you can run yourself into the hole real fast.
Well, no. So I also am a builder, so it costs twice as much to do something the wrong way. And so just having planning for the goal in mind, I guess, would be another way to be saying effective, because like we can get drawings done quick and issue something, but unless if we've gone through the actual process in terms of like sitting down with the client and getting all that just getting the information together. Like I've talked about like information management, um, and just how that gets developed throughout the process. It it's one thing I'm working on a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it makes and I love that point of view too, right? Because you've got the point of view not only of the architect. Hey, we're responsible for the health, safety, and welfare, and the getting all the code stuff right, and meeting the program, and all those things, right, that go into architecture. But you're also looking at it from the construction side,
Mhm.
where it's like, okay, all that's great, but this we have to be able to construct this. The constructability has to be baked into this. So
Yeah,
I love the two-sided approach here.
yeah, and I mean it's even affecting how the drawings are getting put together because
Yeah.
I know the subcontractors aren't going to look through. I mean, I'm working on an addition right now, and I've got 33 pages of drawings in it, and
Hmm.
the foundation sub isn't going to go and look through and make sure that it's going to match with the framing necessarily. He's just
Yeah,
making
no,
sure
no.
that the footing's going. So get all the details on the foundation plan and just do my best to make sure that those are all working together in that way.
Yeah.
And then even getting specs and all that on, it's just reorganizing a construction set or a document set.
Sure, sure. So if we look down the road a little ways, and you can pick the time frame here, but if we look down the road, what you're talking about and what you're working on, what you're building right now, what does it mean to, um, you know, ABC architects in Louisville, Kentucky,
Mhm.
in the future?
Yeah.
How's it gonna help them or affect them?
It so um, depending on who ABC Architects is, so we could take it through like a couple different scenarios or
Okay.
hypotheticals, right? If there's, um, ABC Architect is going to start ABC Architecture, and they just need a partner and an expert to help them put documents together and to start their business. So the entire idea is to take about 50% of the work off of the architect's shoulders and let them then do the design work. And then, because I can't design this stuff for them, and
Right.
they have to, they would have to even take a certain amount of responsible charge of the drawings. Um, so I'm not them as a designer, but I can take away all like the prosaic portions of the construction documents and help them put those together.
Mhm.
Um, the and then somebody who's got several years of experience, even building buildings, somebody who would be more of an expert, know more than they would, and then be able to partner with them and get these projects completed. So then they can also they can continue working on business development. They can go to lunches with clients and continue marketing and find a bookkeeper. And then hopefully that they don't have to, work like I have where, I'm working till midnight, 1 o'clock, trying to get um, drawings out for another architect. So um, we just try to help them in like those capacities so that there's less stress for them in their lives and at home, and then they can continue to actually grow the business and they have somebody who can assist them as a modeling and document partner. um, ABC Architects is a larger, more established firm. It's just somebody who's got um, the expertise to continue to take some of the effort off of them, so that they can take on another project. Um, then they can take their time to train their staff into what they want architects to be, and we can handle all the documentation for them.
Is there a that brings up a question in my head is in the future, is there the possibility of a component that's sort of a training component where
Yeah,
you bring in the systems and all of that, but hey, I'm also going to help train the people that are going to work in these systems, the in-house people, I guess, that are going to
yeah.
work in these systems.
I've thought about that. Yeah, There's a lot of channels out there that will teach you how to use Revit and how to produce really good looking kind of like documents from
Yep.
there. There's several channels that have started to kind of touch on architecture processes. Like I think, gosh, who is it? I've got his books over there somewhere. 30 by 40 workshop, Eric Reinhold.
Oh, Eric Reinhold, yeah.
Even Revit Rocket Ship with F9 Productions. They kind of they've taken on some of that too, but
right.
Something is kind of comprehensive is what I'm looking at. Like, yeah, I would say that there would be an opportunity for training components. And I've started to set those up, and I'm trying to make them, bite-sized portions for the staff that I have.
Yep.
Most of the videos that I'm putting together now are like 5 to 7 minutes long, and just trying to keep them to like one topic, just so we can go over that pretty thoroughly and just wrap it up. It's like, oh, this answers that one question. But I just did a 30-minute long kind of like live stream of me putting together a construction detail, just kind of painstakingly, but like we have Revit components, and like I've made a bunch of custom components that will work that have like the smart detailing component to it. So there's information actually built into them. So you can tag the piece of rebar, which is just a circle, it's just a dot, Revit families, but but you can tag it and then place it annotation, and then it'll report just like it needs to. So then you don't have to spend time thinking about what this is going to look like or what to say. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that this is another example of a business growing out of problem solving, like solving your own problems, right? Growing out of necessity. And it seems, I think it sounds simple as that comes out of my mouth, right? As I say that, because everybody is solving their problems every day. But the fact of the matter is you're solving those problems and you're documenting it because it's scalable, right? And it's others can, once you get it to the point, others can apply this. And now you're having a bigger effect, even on the profession at this point.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, trying to take back and make, really give us back the concept or the ownership of the title, like master builder.
Sure.
It's the way that the industry has grown. I know architects are, at least like looking on like the website, I'm kind of inferring that there's some concern about the profession, like on Facebook. But one of the things that even Mark has encouraged me with is to kind of just be better. And every time there's 3, maybe 4 times I've kind of asked that question to Mark, and each time I just get his post, his email, or his blog post called "Be Better." And so, like I then end up researching something. So, what that means is that if we're going to be the master builder, like we need to understand whatever that construction is that we're focusing on. So if we're doing light framed residential, we better have a really clear understanding of what the American Plywood Association says about installing plywood, and kind of taking some of that ownership back, and then getting out there on job sites and being able to check out the construction that's there. A couple weeks ago, I was running around with another developer that I used to work with, and I'm hoping to start building for, and not trying to tear down the other builders, but I'm like there's like portal framing that we need around this. There's it looks like this isn't going to support, like there's a big glass opening for like in some nano wall kind of thing. and it just didn't look like it was going to support anything.
Yeah.
So just kind of taking back some ownership of that title of master builder.
Yeah. So is that, the question I like to ask as we start to wrap these conversations up is, what's a piece of advice that you would share, with entrepreneur architects who not only want to build a better business,
Mhm.
that's obviously what, why we're doing what we're doing, and it's what the conference is about. But I think that a really strong common thread amongst this community is it's people that want to build better businesses, but also want to practice in the way that they want to practice, whatever their reasons are, maybe flexibility, family, kids,
Yeah.
who knows what the reasons are. I just basically repeated the same reason 3 different ways. But, um, what's a piece of advice that you would give somebody, as they're, it's Monday, it's lunchtime Monday, basically.
Mhm.
What do I need to accomplish this week as I try to do build this business and practice in my own way?
Um, so just in general, because I think when we were getting ready for this, we were talking about getting ready for the actual
Yeah,
conference
yeah.
overall. Um, Figure out what your purpose is and then go after that every single day.
Hmm.
Um, that's, talking to you and talking to Mark, that's been the thing that is just kind of resonates all the time. Um, that's what we end up talking about a lot. So that's, and anytime that I've been able to like focus on that, and that's an idea that ends up getting developed over the years. So like drawn
Mhm.
as a part of the mission that I have
Sure.
as a professional. It's what I want to give back to the profession, which ends up kind of being part of the vocation that I guess that I'm taking on.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just how to do this work better, and then helping other people to do it better.
Yeah.
Um, so, figure out what that is. And there's tons of resources out there that can help you for that. Um, Simon Sinek has a lot of books on it that I've read those. Uh, you know, just figure that out and then go after it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's important advice. You have identified, as I'm assuming that everybody that's watching either live now or in a replay later has felt the same thing, right? It's not all rainbows and unicorns,
Yeah.
right? There's a grind, and there are things to slog through, and all of these things. But as you said, if you can identify that purpose, the real reason for that is to give you the goal, right? To give you the thing to focus on that helps you grind and helps you slog through the things
Yeah.
and give you guidance so that you come out on the other side when you go, okay, now we've gotten through that. Now it's not as hard today as it was yesterday. Am I going in the right direction?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
So, as you're out there just starting, um, a couple of things, I guess. Number one, Nick, he hosts or facilitates the startup firm mastermind group in EntreArchitect. So go to EntreArchitect.com if you need to know more. If you're not in a mastermind group, um, if you missed the beginning of this conversation, Nick and I have known each other for a lot of years now.
Yeah.
A lot of it because of EntreArchitect mastermind groups. We obviously both really value and believe in the mastermind uh, environment. So go to EntreArchitect.com and learn more about the availability of things there.
Yeah.
Um, and also, think about this conference that we're talking about. Think about coming to Austin. It's just 2 weeks out at this point. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we're going to kick this thing off. Go to smallfirmconference.com. learn about all the speakers, learn about the venue, the schedule, everything. I try to say this every time. I think the design of this conference, number one, it's pretty unique. It is similar to the conference that I call the best conference I've ever been to. Um, it is an immersive single track conference, so you don't ever have to make a choice. You don't have to say, "Hey, uh, Randy Wilburn is speaking. Do I want to go listen to Randy, or do I want to go listen to this
Yeah.
other speaker?" You don't have to make that choice. You have the opportunity with all of the rest of us, because of the design of this conference, to sit down, listen to Randy, participate in the activity, learn from and apply what Randy is talking about. And then when that session is over, we do something else together in an immersive way. You get time to spend with all the speakers, with all the partners, with all of the community here in this conference. So go to smallfirmconference.com and check it out.
Yeah,
Um,
and
it's
that's
going to
exciting.
be, it is exciting. It's going to be worth your time. And people like Nick Corniea are going to be there. He's the
Mhm.
founder of Drawn. He's a partner in this whole endeavor that's helping us make this a reality. So the EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting in Austin, Texas, November 1st through 3rd. Again, if you're an architect that wants to build a better business, that wants to practice in your own way, or maybe you're the employee of a firm, but you aspire to practice and do it your
Yeah,
own way, go to smallfirmconference.com. There's more information about the conference. It is the first ever live conference dedicated just to you, just to the small firm entrepreneur architect. So check it out. I
yeah,
promise that you will not be disappointed. Nick, again, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for being a part
thank
of
you.
this community. Thanks for being a friend. Thanks for being a mastermind partner. And thank you for helping to make the EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting a reality.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on. And I should throw a shout out to Heather Breakfield, who's been helping me facilitate this
Awesome.
startup group for the last several weeks. Just gotten swamped here, and she stepped up and took control of it.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome. Very
thanks,
good. Well,
Heather.
thanks to Heather for that. And for everybody out there, again, smallfirmconference.com is the URL to learn more about this conference. I'll be coming to you uh, in fairly rapid succession, I think, over the next week or so, with more speakers and more partners, just to give you a preview of what it's going to be like in Austin, November 1st through 3rd. Again, we're going to, I think I board a plane 2 weeks from today to head down there. So
Yeah.
it's coming up fast. Nick, again, thanks. Happy Monday. Keep up the good
Yes.
work. And we'll talk to everybody again soon.